The POCO M3 Pro 5G is a new budget 5G device coming in from POCO. As you guys already saw from our previous video, we're pretty frustrated with the new release of the Redmi Note 10 from Xiaomi because there's so many devices within that one series. But anyway, in this video, we're going to figure out where this device sits, should you purchase it, and how it really compares to the Redmi Note 10 5G. Quick spoiler, it's identical to the Redmi Note 10 5G, just rebranded and changes in the design. Let's quickly begin with the unboxing for this. You get the POCO M3 Pro 5G with all the main specs on there. You also get a clear case included, the Type-C cable for charging, as well as a 22-watt power adapter. Let's move on to the build quality and the design on this. It's actually built very well for a budget device. The main thing that stands out is the POCO branding at the back of the device. Very unique, something we really haven't seen before. You get a single firing speaker at the bottom and an IR blaster at the top, and the power button also doubles as your fingerprint sensor. The fingerprint sensor is pretty good and works very fast and accurately, so no complaints there. As far as the display goes, you get a 6.5-inch IPS LCD panel with 1080p and 90Hz of refresh rate. The 90Hz is pretty nice to see on a budget smartphone. Pretty decent for an LCD panel as well, with nice contrast levels and even pretty good color accuracy if you customize it within the settings. Now, as far as brightness is concerned, it's fairly bright for the price point, and it isn't crazy bright in direct sunlight situations, but for my testing when I went outdoors, I didn't really have any issue with viewing my screen. So yeah, brightness wise, it's pretty okay. Like I said, at the bottom you have a single firing speaker, so it's not stereo, and the sound quality is pretty decent. You get nice mids and highs, but the lows where the bass lies is kind of weak, and you won't really feel the bassier sounds come through. As far as software and UI is concerned, it comes with Xiaomi's MIUI. It's kind of its own version of MIUI, so it is based off of that, but they have their own POCO flair on top with all these pre-installed applications, which luckily are possible to remove, but you do have a lot of the things that come over from the Xiaomi and Redmi devices onto here. I do like this version of MIUI, but the POCO branding, the POCO flair on top is something that I'm not very keen on. I do like the Xiaomi ones more. So powering this device is the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G processor with 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. Now, this is the same one we saw on the Redmi Note 10 5G. It's a pretty good performing processor. Now, the GPU is kind of on the lower end, but the performance as far as frame rate is concerned is actually pretty good if you're willing to sacrifice on the graphical capabilities. But as far as gaming, multitasking, and all of that is concerned, the performance was pretty good. I didn't really feel like I was using a budget device, no lag issues or anything of the sort. Unfortunately, no benchmarking numbers were accurate. It would crash every now and then, but I do have one screenshot that I managed to take. So performance-wise, pretty decent. Now, powering it up is a massive 5000 milliamp hour battery with a 22.5 watt charger, like I said, included in the box. It charges up from 0 to 33% in about 30 minutes, which is what you'd expect at this kind of battery size and charging capability. Moving on to the camera performance, this is where I was kind of like, whoa, okay, it can actually do better than I expected. You get a main 48 megapixel camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, as well as a depth sensor. The images that come out from the main lens have great dynamic range, surprisingly, pretty good sharpness and colors in bright light situations. The colors can be a little bit washed out when you shoot away from the sun, but when, like I said, bright light situations, it does turn out to have pretty decent image quality. Portrait mode, background blur, all of that can be seen on screen right now. Nothing overwhelming, but not really terribly performing as well. I would say that the Redmi performed a little bit better than this one in the camera department, but otherwise they're almost identical. Lastly, moving on to the video side of things, it does only 1080p at 30 FPS maximum resolution and frame rate. The video performance, again, similar to the pictures, you get decent sharpness and nice colors, a little bit washed out at times with contrast levels being slightly lesser than I would hope for, but it does make up for that with its stabilization and overall look to the image. The stabilization is very, very nice on this. Now, as a device, if you're thinking about purchasing a 5G device on a budget, then yeah, sure, the POCO M3 Pro 5G is a great device for you. But again, I would really not care about 5G at this point. At least that's me personally. I would rather save up the money and get a better device within the same price range, or even look at the Redmi series because the image performance might be slightly better there. I mean, the processing power is identical, the display is identical, the battery life is it's almost exactly the same, which is why I was so frustrated. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about that right now. What do you think about the POCO M3 Pro and the Redmi being so similar? Does that frustrate you as much as it frustrates us? If you guys have thoughts on this, do let us know down in the comments. We really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be appreciated, and we'll see you again in the next video. Until then, they're almost exactly the same phone, just rebranded. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated.